Good afternoon. It is July 2nd at 6:03 p.m., July 2nd, 2024. I'd like to call to order this meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners. This meeting is being held in person and/or remotely as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 and all other applicable laws temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You are hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the Town of Hingham in accordance with the open meeting law. If any participant wishes to record this meeting, please notify the chair at the start of the meeting in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20F, so that the chair may inform all other participants of said recording. Is anyone else recording? Seeing none, I will note for the record that participating in our meeting today is Liz Klein, Bill Ramsey, and myself, Joe Fisher. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. Bill, Liz, are you ready?
I make a motion to approve the minutes dated June 18th, 2024.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I'm an aye as well. Next item on the agenda, and the reason we're really here, is for a review of the June 26, 2024 Board of Water Commissioners meeting with Veolia on the Ware River Water System Water Quality and Discolored Water event. So we had a meeting last week, on June 26, to hear from Veolia as well as from our water superintendent, Russ, so that we had an understanding of where we were with the discolored water event, what actions have been taken to address it, what actions have been taken to move forward so that hopefully the risks of recurrence are low, and to make sure that the public is well informed. So with that, before I turn it over to Veolia, I'd like to ask Russ if you want anything that you wanted to add, or should we just proceed with our
Just want to let everyone know that everything's settled down. We've gotten no emails. We're getting a few complaints in customer service, but those are normal for this time of year. I've gotten 0 emails since, I believe, Sunday or Saturday, so.
So Russ, the fact that you're getting 0 emails does not mean that no one loves you.
It's okay, I don't need any right now.
It just means that things are going.
Things are calming down and things
Yes.
are settling back to where they should be.
Great.
So right now, our usage is down a little bit, but we're sure over the next few days it'll start ramping up with the holiday coming, so.
So if you could introduce the persons to our left, and I don't know if there's anyone from Veolia participating remotely, we can introduce them as well.
Mike Leahy, who's the regional manager for Veolia, Diane Dirth, who's our project manager, John Oatley, who is the vice president of operations for Veolia, and Chris, last name just ran right out of my head. Halloran, who is the communications director for Veolia.
Great. So John, did you want to take the lead, or who would you like to?
Sure. We did put together a little presentation.
Chris.
Can you turn your mic on?
Go on and share.
Hit his little button on his mic, see?
Oh. One job to do, turn the mic on. Couldn't get it done. Okay, so we just put together a quick little presentation. It starts out as a recap initially, and then kind of just a slight update on where we are and where our efforts have been over the last week. We've kind of already gone through the introduction on the Veolia team. Again, just wanted to take a minute to just some acknowledgements for all the support and help we received during the event. Russ was instrumental in really guiding a lot of our efforts and helping us dispatch our teams in the appropriate locations to be as effective as we possibly could. So Russ, again, really want to thank you for that. Obviously, the commissioners and the boards, we've been in constant communication since the event, and your guidance has been really helpful. Certainly, the public, we rely on them primarily for a gauge on how we're doing. So certainly appreciate all the positive and negative feedback, because we certainly learned from it. And then our Veolia crews, who, like I said, during the whole event were on station actually doing the hard work of trying to get rid of the discolored water. This was the map that we presented at the last meeting, is showing the impact area. I think that's real important that we focus in on that particular area, particularly in our investigation as to what led to the significant amount of discoloration we saw in that aspect of the system, which is tied into that Turkey Hill water tank that supplies that area. Chairman, would you like me to go through a little bit of the event timeline, or do you think we?
I think in summary form, because we covered this extensively last week, but again, some people may be viewing who were unable to attend our meeting.
Sure, we had a significant, we would refer to as a significant difference in the way that the Turkey Hill tank performed on Juneteenth. Typically between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m., there's a diurnal usage drop that we typically see. What we saw on Juneteenth, the morning of Juneteenth, that drop was steeper, and it lasted a little bit longer, and the plant was unable to recover as quickly as we normally see. So that was the first indication that we had high demand. We received, we put out a public notice at 10 a.m. and then again at 5, I think it was 6 o'clock? 5:26. Those were the first two public notifications that went out on that day. And then by Thursday morning, we were out on the street actually trying to remove the discoloration through not a flushing program, but a flowing program, which is a little bit less extreme removal of the water from the system, not to create or make the problem even worse than we were dealing with. Contributing factors, again, we don't know what we don't know. We're in the investigation phase. I think I highlighted for everyone that we had first responded and then looked to recover. We're now in the position of we're investigating and trying to find some discovery about what happened. We know that it was a hot day. We know it was a holiday. We know we had a couple localized, well, a localized main break. We know there was some additional system maintenance going on. We know that there was a key water service line on George's Island that was that suffered a break. We're investigating that pretty thoroughly right now, and we aim to have our draft report to the board by July 25th. We've engaged our entire technical performance team as well as a local team, reviewing all of the records, all of the events that we captured, as well as looking back historically. And we spent a fair amount of time talking about different events that have occurred over the course of time, fires, significant demand events, if you will, and the impact that had on the system and how those could help illustrate what we saw, but also differentiate what we saw. So that's really the level of effort we have right now, and our teams are again engaged, and we should have something drafted and submitted by July 25th. I think it was pretty evident from the beginning that although we had a communications protocol in place, it was not effective. I think we all recognize that. Chris can speak a little bit about that, and as well as some of the immediate improvements we made and some of the planned improvements we plan to make, even ahead of July 4th.
Thank you, John. Yeah, again, communications has been a big focus of the follow-up to this, and trying to find the best way to move forward, learning from the incident of Juneteenth. As we have in this slide, Veolia is the trunk of the communications tree. Okay, we get the information initially, we share it with our partner with the Ware River Water Systems, and then we branch out and share it with the different municipalities served by that system. What we discovered in this incident is there's some dead branches there that we need to prune, and there's some new branches we need to build out, and we need to make sure that tree works effectively in events like this, because it's crucial that it does. That's part of the emergency response plan. We need to make sure that what we're doing is effective. Sending messages is one thing, people getting messages is another, and that's what we really need to hone in on. For our part to date, we've updated those stakeholder contacts. We've reached out to the different municipalities involved, asking for updated addresses, contact information, whatever it takes to make sure that the alarm is sounded, or when it's sounded, it is heard. The other aspect is contacting local media outlets. We've been in touch with the Hingham Anchor. I'm reaching out to the Hull Times, trying to find some contacts at the Patriot Ledger, trying to make sure that we can have some cooperative coverage from them in the instance of these scenarios so that they can get the word out for us. You know, news is great at picking up after and doing follow-up stories on it, but in situations like this, we could really use their help getting the word out, because these are media outlets that people depend upon for information. Speaking of media outlets, there's social media, and we're going to work with, I've been in touch with Stephen Weiss from the Citizens Advisory Board. We're going to compile a list of pertinent social media platforms, pertinent groups, Facebook groups, whatever people go to for information in these communities, we want to contribute to that information. We want to make sure that the accurate and up-to-date information gets out there, because in the absence of that, you get a lot of rumor and you get a lot of speculation, and we want to make sure that we are asserting ourselves and getting the clear message out there. So that's really, you know, we've seen this in other communities where it pays to have this multi-pronged approach. We also want to, in dealing with the Citizens Advisory Board, we want to meet with other organizations, talk with senior centers, talk with representatives of communities that may not be readily accessible via social media, and make sure that we have a way to contact them so that they know what's going on and should these events occur again.
So just a little recap on some of the immediate actions we've taken. We've adjusted the tank monitoring and alarm set points on the Turkey Hill tank. I can tell you, I looked at the data this morning. We would typically see that diurnal dip of about 12 feet, 12 to 13 feet normally. We know on the event of June 10th, it went down 4 feet deeper than that. We saw it as high as about 17 feet. I reviewed the data last night, and we saw about a 4-foot differential between the 13 feet to about what it is now. So we're keeping the tank higher, we're recovering faster, or not allowing it to go. Some might wonder why wouldn't you do that before? The idea is to really, you need to turn the tank over. You really don't want that water to sit in those tanks longer than they need to keep it fresh. So this is a good intermediate step, but it may not be the permanent step. We really need to find out what exactly led to the problem. But for the foreseeable future, those set levels will remain. We updated emergency response plan, as Chris said, particularly regarding the stakeholder engagement lists. We certainly put our team on a heightened readiness, and certainly will continue that throughout the holiday period, July 4th. We've got additional staff on standby. Chris talked about reaching out collaboratively to other community entities. Our TMP group has finished the unidirectional flushing plan, I'm happy to say. Now what we need to do is, between now and when we execute that plan in the fall, go out into the system and really confirm that the valves that we need we need in order for the system to work are functional, and we'll be able to close off and open and close as they're designed to do. And then, you know, certainly to work with Russ at developing and continue to explore different infrastructure improvements we might want to make. Some different metering, some different technology, and deploying different types of AI throughout the system that might help us respond quicker and/or even find potential problems sooner. So those are some of the immediate actions we've taken. It's a neat little graphic. You probably can't read it too well, so we can share it externally as well. But it sort of highlights the difference and the benefits between a conventional flushing system program, I should say, which is what's deployed now, versus a unidirectional flushing program. And basically what it comes down to, and I know Mike had talked about at the previous meeting, is a typical flushing program moves water through the system at about a 1 to 3 foot per foot, 1 to 3 feet per second rate. And again, that provides some cleaning of the pipe, but really not effective cleaning. Where a unidirectional flushing program increases that velocity above 3 feet per second, and that's really the scouring you need to remove the sediment that's built up inside the pipe. And truly, no matter what we find was the root cause of the problem, the long-term solution, because we're gonna have problems, and we just know that, is to clean the pipes, is to get the material out of the pipe in the first place. So in the event that you have a main break or a fire, and you're using increased demand, you're not allowing that you don't have any sediment to be introduced into the water system. And that's a program that's going to take time. I mean, this is decades in the making, so it's going to take time. But we should see some immediate improvements in the areas that we deploy this directional flushing. That's our expectation. Did that go backwards?
No, it did not. That's the-
Okay, so that's just some additional actions. It's kind of a restatement of what we did in terms of community outreach and contacting the three major stakeholders, the three towns that are impacted or serviced by the water system directly.
I'll just add that another aspect that we're entertaining is that when it comes to that communications outreach, we may engage in some test messaging in the next couple of weeks or months to make sure that these changes that we've made, these updates that we've made, make sure that they stick, make sure this is working. So we'd like to work with those local media outlets, the social media outlets, the Citizens Advisory Board, the Commissioners Board, to let people know that we're going to start sending sort of emergency messages out so that people can at least make sure that they're receiving them. If they're not receiving them, they need to come to us and let us know why not, where the problem is. We've discussed this as well. Like a lot of people have, maybe they have an old email address that they've been subscribing to, and I've mentioned that I've let my Yahoo address become a spam sponge. I don't, but I know that I still have things going there. So people may not realize what they've subscribed to and how they need to upgrade their own, update their own contact information, so that we make sure that we're hitting where they're going to hear it. So I think through these test message exercises, we should be able to fine tune that to the best of our ability.
Yeah, and I'll just add that it's in conceptual phase right now. We're not sending out any test messages just yet. And we'll certainly work with the commission on developing that protocol for that. But I think it will, to Chris's point, create a situation where we can reach the right people when we need to reach them, and then find gaps where that's not happening before it's needed. And that's really what we're after. So more to come on that, certainly. So that's a quick
Great, thank you.
rundown.
John, Chris, thank you. Turn it over to Liz.
Excellent. Thank you, Joe. Thank you all for being here again and giving us an update. A question for you, Joe. Are we planning on meeting on the 25th to review the report?
So the 25th is a Thursday,
Thursday.
I believe.
The report can come in, we can review it, get comments back, maybe get a final version. Then
Okay.
up to 3
Yes,
weeks.
so I would not expect on the
Okay.
25th to be reviewed, have
Okay.
a meeting.
So possibly the next week. Okay, and I don't know if this has already been sent over, or if you can give us an estimated timeline when we'll receive the communication plan and the emergency response plan?
So the emergency response plan has been sent, correct, Aaron? Yes. And that was the one that was in place. What we need to do is again,
Update
detail
it.
that, and so, like, we have the framework there, we need to go through. We're still awaiting some feedback from certain municipalities.
Okay.
Once we get that, we'll fully update it and get it over to you. And then, again, I'm working with Mr. Weiss from the Citizens Advisory Board to
Great.
help find those community organizations that they can do with our direct contact. So I look forward to working with them to get that together, and that would certainly be done hopefully by the 25th as well.
Okay,
Sort of
excellent.
like an all-encompassing delivery.
Great, thank you for that. And thank you for working with the Citizens Advisory Board. I think that'll be really helpful. My other question was about the timing of the flushing plan. I know you said fall. Do we have a more exact date, or will we, as we get closer?
We always base it on how our water levels are looking, so it's usually late fall, so October.
October?
Depending on how long it's gonna take too, because now we have to look at freezing and things like that, so we always have that meeting in about August.
Okay,
We start talking about it as a group and see what the best timing is. So it'll be sometime, it'll definitely be after September or late September, because we don't wanna ruffle any feathers at the end of the summer, so.
okay. And what is the customer experience during the flushing?
We usually do that at night, so it's been very, I actually talked to Josh at customer service last week when this was all going on and asked him for like a high level of how many complaints we get actually during flushing, and it's a very low number.
Okay,
Because usually by the time our crews are done flushing, the system has time to settle down before people even wake up.
okay,
So we get very little calls on that, because it's the best time to do it is when everyone's in bed.
okay, great.
And
So,
Liz, I'm sorry, if I could add, the flushing plan will include areas where we will be.
Great.
And the potential homes, if you will, that will be impacted by that. So it's a
Okay.
pretty comprehensive mapping of how and where the crews will be working. But to Russ's point, it is done at night.
okay, so we can proactively let people know when to expect it. What is the situation, though? Is there no water? Is there brown water? What's coming out of the faucet?
Oh, during the flushing
During the
program?
flushing.
The reason why we let people know what areas, because if you do use it at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, you might get some brown water, so we
Okay.
kind of ask, that's why we, when we send out the whole flushing program, it goes on the website and actually maps out the areas and what streets they are.
Okay.
And then we also have signage that we had made that we put at each entrance to the streets that we're doing the following night. So when residents go out in the morning, they'll see the flushing signs on their side of this road to make sure that they know that their area is getting hit the next night.
Okay,
That way they can prepare themselves, because a lot of people will get bottled water for that night, or at least make sure everything's done before, we start at 9 o'clock.
okay,
There'll be crews in the street with lights and so people naturally be curious about what's going on as an emergency. So we will work with Russ on effectively communicating those.
And these other resources we're cultivating, social media, community organizations,
Mm-hmm.
we can let people know and trumpet it ahead of time. Like this, something like this is something that's planned, and therefore we
Yeah.
can make people fully aware, and they can adjust accordingly. Don't do laundry that night.
Right.
Don't, be ready to experience maybe some low pressure at some point, but it won't catch people off guard if we are able to take these lessons from this incident and put them into an effective communications plan.
great, yes, I think that's really helpful if people know what to
We
expect.
will, we'll
and
definitely
plan
employ
for it.
digital boards too, because
Okay.
we haven't in the past couple of flushings, because we did a really good job of getting it out to everybody, and it's been low impact.
Yeah.
The directional may be a little higher impact on the color, so we'll definitely get the boards out, and we'll use digital boards.
Okay, great. So I know for the last incident, we used the DPW boards. Do you have in your budget boards as well?
On my list this week,
Great.
I think I do, I probably have it somewhere, but we'll definitely start looking at it ourselves and use the state contracts to procure a couple of our own boards.
Okay.
I'm sure then everyone will borrow ours, but that's okay, as long as they can have them back.
As over-communicate, at
It's all
this point,
good.
we want to over-communicate,
It's all
so.
good. You don't mind, but I'm definitely gonna look at having our own boards.
Great.
Definitely.
Excellent, thank you, thank you.
Chris, just picking up on what you said, one of the things that really distinguished the June 19th event from others is there was no advance notice. And we have grown accustomed to getting that notice in advance, and then we know when the brown water's coming. In this case, no one knew, and that, I think, was the startling feature that caused some alarm in the town. Bill?
Has there been any testing of the water quality since our last meeting, and what are the results?
Excuse me. Water quality was last tested Monday. To this point, the water reports are good. There is no negative results, and we will actually have the absolute results in the morning. It takes over 24 hours to get written results that are actually reportable.
So, but the results down there were normal, everything's fine with the water?
But, yeah, they legally have to call us if there's any issues.
Yeah, the way the protocol works is we take the samples, submit them, they take 24 hours to either be confirmed or either be positive or negative. The lab is required to tell us if they're positive, even in advance of the written notice, and we didn't get any calls, so we're on the assumption that it's good, but we'll get the official report tomorrow. But we need the 24-hour time frame to go by before we know for sure.
And I know Leanne talked about this a little bit last week, but how often are you going to do it now throughout the summer? It's going to be is it once a week?
Yeah, we'll stay on the once-a-week schedule for now.
That's good.
DEP requirement is 5 times a month.
Yeah, that's fine.
5 times a month in the summer, 4 times in the winter. The lab in-house is also testing the water quality each and every hour before it even leaves the plant. And there's all 9 analyzers analyzing every 15 seconds the quality of the water.
Great.
So with the distribution system, it'll be 5 times a month. So some weeks we will actually test it twice, depending on the number of weeks in that month. We did sample for iron and manganese again, but as soon as we get those results, we'll get it out to everybody somehow tomorrow. So once we know everything's official, we'll get it out to the public, because I think it's be a good thing to get it out to everybody. We were hoping to have them today, but the lab's getting a little crazy in the summertime, so.
Okay, great. And, Chris, to your point, your discussion about communications, I think your plan is good. Maybe the one suggestion would be is you send a mailer out to every customer's household, and you direct them to a website to sign up their cell phone if they want to opt in, and their email address. I think it's great you're going to go to some community service groups and talk. I think that's a great way to do it, but I think, pretty sure I did that through National Grid, and I get alerts about power outages to my cell phone, or I get emails about it. But I think directing them specifically to register both would be helpful to people. I mean, there were some residents who said that they got like 2 or 3 emails a day, as I did, because I'm registered, but other residents said they heard nothing, even though we all made efforts to put it on social media. So appreciate that, your efforts there, and trying to improve communications.
Thank you. I mean, one of the mechanisms that we typically use is the bill itself. There will be a message
Yep.
on the bill. But a lot of people don't look at that. They look at the number, and then they move on. So we can absolutely do an insert. We can do some messaging on the envelope, perhaps. We have a lot of options there. But again, in addition to the customers, I think our biggest gap as Veolia is not having direct contact with non-bill paying residents. So that's the part that we really want to continue to work with the Citizens Advisory Board and get their input on the most effective ways to do that. And I think between getting our bill payers tuned in so that they know what's going on and they can share the message, and then working with your boards and your leadership to get non-bill paying residents the information that they need, hopefully we can just tie that up and do a lot better with this.
So the Hingham Municipal Light Plant bill, everybody gets a hard copy in the mail. My water bill comes over email. Like you said, I'd look at the number, how much I gotta pay. I wouldn't read the text of it, so maybe doing a mailer to everybody might help. But the Hingham Light bill, the town normally does utilize that resource to put other flyers in there, and people do read them, and they respond accordingly. But for those folks from wherever getting the bill through email, they may not read the fine print of how to opt into the communication plan. But I'm sure you'll figure the best course of action going forward. So thank you.
Veolia does not have the contact information for all the residents, but we're hoping we can work with the municipalities to help us get that message out. So.
Bill, maybe implicit in your suggestion is they do an insert in the HMLP bill. So
That won't go to
I'm sure
Hull.
HMLP.
I won't go to Hull, but
Or
at least deal with Hingham, then we can
Yeah.
address
Yeah, we can.
Hull and Cohasset.
Like Hull and Cohasset, yeah.
Yeah.
HMLP has been very helpful with efforts like this, so we should approach them and
Yeah.
see if they would be willing to do it.
I have a call with Tom tomorrow for something else, so
Great.
Okay.
I'll run it by.
Right. Okay, I see we have the chair of the CAB, the Citizens Advisory Board, Stephen Weiss. Stephen, you're unmuted, so please, any questions?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me. I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person. I first want to say to Chris, I love the idea that anything I can do to have an excuse not to do laundry is helpful. So as soon as I get the flushing schedule, I will be sure to put it out to all of my friends, so we can plan that accordingly. I think at this point, we're at a lessons learned and how to move forward. Chris has been in touch with me, and obviously in advance of July 25th, we'll schedule a CAB meeting so we can have a fuller discussion about the communications piece. A couple of things. One, I think some of the confusion is, as a town, we own the Weir River water system. And then there's Veolia, which is our contract partner to run the system. So I think part of the messaging has to be who the message is coming from. Is it coming from the Weir River water system, which is owned by the town of Hingham, or is it Veolia? So I think one of the things we have to figure out is who is the one giving the message, and even if it's Veolia, where is it coming from in terms of the public-facing piece of it? The second piece, and today was a good example, Joe, to your point, we obviously know in advance about the flushing, but this morning there was an outage with Hingham Light. I was able to go on Facebook, go to their Facebook page, and immediately see updates from them, including when the service was restored. And that's something that the residents of Hingham are used to, is getting up-to-date, minute-by-minute progress when something happens. And obviously, this was a 50-hour event, so the updates are not necessarily going to come as often, but we definitely need to use all of our social media presence to be able to maximize communication. And I appreciate all the work that's gone on, both to correct the problem, as well as what's already being done to promote better communication. I love the idea, Bill, of using the Hingham Light Bill, which is a good way to get communication out to the public. And then for us to consider what social media presence we need to have as a water system to be able to get messaging out that can then be shared by people and let it just keep going out to residents. So I don't have any questions. I really appreciate the update and the opportunity to be part of the conversation and to help move things along.
Stephen, do you have an anticipated date for your next meeting?
Well, I was going to email you as soon as we're done to set up a meeting in the next couple of weeks so we can, and maybe even invite Chris to join us so we can be in partnership with the communication piece.
Great, thanks. Do I see Stephen Murphy, our fire chief? No, I don't. I see, there he is.
Yep. Hi, Joe. How are you?
Good. So, any comments, additions that you'd like to make to this discussion?
No, the only comment is that I would like to be involved in the Veolia's emergency management plan, and I'll work with Russ and Veolia on that to make sure that we the town understands everything that they're going to do, and then we can build that into our plan, especially on communications, because I think it was clear that on this incident, there was some lapse specifically on us being notified and how many customers were affected and everything else. So I'd like to work with them to make sure that we have a better understanding of the future incidents or anything.
Great, thank you.
Can I
Bill, please.
Yeah, so Stephen's point about the Facebook page is an excellent one. And when the power was off today, I could see on social media people going to the Hingham Light page and reposting it. And when this happened last week, like Liz and I posted ones, we're using our personal Facebook page to post messages that were going from you guys to the town to us. So it was a three-step process to get the word out, and then citizens were reposting maybe Liz's post or my post or some other way to do it. Stephen's point about people going directly to the HMLP site this morning is excellent one. So we're going to need to do that, where we put a social media page out there so people can go to it to get information directly, opposed to going through 3 different sources. But that I saw it kind of in action today. So that was an excellent point, Stephen.
There are 2 Stephens up there.
Yeah.
And they both made excellent points. This is the Stephen W.
Okay,
Yeah, and he goes by Steven. I usually just go by Steve.
okay.
We knew who you meant.
Yes.
But I think to Bill's point, I'm sure you have communication plans already in place. We have a very successful utility, HMLP. We should not have to reinvent the wheel here. We should leverage what we already have. And certainly, I think there are lessons learned from HMLP that I know Russ is going to work with Tom on. So that should help streamline this for sure.
So just keep in mind, I think Kate is already has a Facebook page or wherever, like a reserve, so just make sure we talk to our IT department so we don't reinvent it. I believe she has one, but just let me know,
It'll
yeah.
all be coordinated.
Yeah.
Because as Steve indicated, it's important to have branded communication so that people know that, okay, this is what's actually happening.
Yeah.
This is from the source. This is the best information we can get. It's not from your neighbor down the street who heard from Joe around the corner, that this is what's happening. This is exactly what's going on. So, yeah, it's very important to have a unified, identifiable source for this information. So we'll make sure to do that.
Great.
So I can tell you, I learned a big lesson because, I'm not a big Facebook person, but after watching it the way it went, and then last week we had a small little glitch up in the high service, and one of the residents showed me on their Facebook page that, oh, look, Hingham Fire Department used a fire hydrant on our street, because Hingham Fire posted that they were out there fighting a fire on the edge of the highway, and right below and behold, in 8 minutes, we knew exactly what was causing the dirty water, so I'm actually convinced now, so.
Sold.
It was just funny for me to see it like right in front of my face in like a minute, so.
Are there any members of the public with comments or questions? I am seeing none. Mr. Mayo, anything you want to add?
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Great. So hopefully we will not be having a meeting to discuss July 4th, and that you've taken steps to minimize the risks, and looking forward to a next meeting where we get the report, have a chance to review it, and we can move forward.
Do you want to have,
Joe, before we close the meeting.
I'm not closing the meeting.
Oh, go ahead. I had a couple quick things.
Yeah, but I just want to thank the folks who came from Veolia. You're showing a commitment to this town, and not just this town, to this water system, which includes Hull and Cohasset as well. And it's that commitment that I think will make this a success. So thank you. And now, update from our water superintendent.
I just didn't want to forget. Couple quick things. We did get a call from Congressman Lynch's office, and I've been trying to touch base with Seamus about funding for the tank, so I want to talk with him and make sure Michelle's included in that discussion so we can look at if they have any other options for us to help with that. We did create a new email for water quality. If you go on the Ware River Water website, it's water quality at wareriverwater.com, so we'd like all residents to send any discolored water issues to that, or if they have any other water quality questions, send it to that. It's been redirected to a few people, and it goes directly to a folder so that we don't get it mixed up with all of our other billing questions and everything else. I think it's a good thing for us to have. The other one we have now is an abatements at wareriverwater.com, which if you go on our website, it'll actually give you our abatement process. And then you can send an abatement request in there. That way that goes to only 2 people that actually review those and make decisions on them. So those 2 people aren't looking through 400 emails to try to find anyone that's looking for some type of abatement. So that email address is also on the website. Our IT department did a great job putting them up there today. And they're both under our customer service page. So if you go on our website, click customer service, they're right there. The other thing is, just so everyone knows, we were classified as a level 3 emergency by Mass DEP for this incident. Myself and Veolia will be working on the responses to Mass DEP for that. There are 5 levels of incidents. We're right in the middle, a level 1 being the lightest type of emergency, and then level 5 is the biggest emergency, which is usually a catastrophe, like a national disaster. So we were right at number 3, which something like this was, I think, we could have probably classified it as a 2, but they make the decision, so we just follow the decision they make, and we will follow up with them and make sure we give them everything that they want.
So with that classification, is there a special protocol that you need to follow?
We have to do an after-action report to them and complete all of the paperwork that they are required us to do, and then we also do a checklist just to make sure that everything was covered in that list. So it's a 2-step process.
Okay.
But that's due 30 days from the incident, so we'll have a meeting to review it and then get it to Mass DEP on time. Besides that, I mean, I have the budget, which we reviewed last time I was here, which was only a couple weeks ago. We're still staying at about 14 million in revenue, and I do have some savings, about 300,000, so we have no problem making budget for FY24, so now we're in FY25. And as far as PFAS goes, I did some reporting on PFAS, but I double-checked everything today, and we don't have to implement solutions until 2029. I mean, we're going to be well ahead of that. But if we have any issues with our initial monitoring and make sure we know the information, the public gets the information which they already do, we do have to mitigate things by 2029.
So in other words, the federal government is decreasing the levels of acceptable PFAS over the next couple of years.
So there's 6 PFAS chemicals that the EPA is recognizing as what they are calling dangerous chemicals to consume. 4 of those are staying at 10. They're right now, everything's at 20 right now. There's 6 of them at 20. 4 of them are staying at 10, and there's 2 that are going to 4. Currently, we have one that's just above 4, but with some aggressive carbon changeouts, we probably can keep it under that 4. But again, we're bringing in a consultant to do a study of our plant to see how we can mitigate that even quicker. So we're planning on being in compliance faster than 2029.
And this board expects to be having a hearing, I'm not going to schedule a date yet, where we can review our efforts with respect to PFAS and make sure that the public is aware of how we're progressing.
Well, absolutely, we're going to start to put everything together for that now, so just when you want to do it, we'll do it.
Great. Anything else? Russ?
Oh, no, sorry. I lost my train of thought for 1 second. No, we're good. Everything else is going well.
Okay. Opportunity for public comment on items not on the agenda. I am seeing and hearing none. So at this point, I appreciate everyone's time, their commitment, and their efforts, and I will accept the motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote. Liz?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
And I am an aye as well. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you.